One ordinary night, you climb into bed expecting exactly what happened every night before. You settle in, your thoughts wander for a while, and then your next clear memory is morning. 8 hours of your life seem to vanish without your permission. You'd never witnessed them slipping away. That's the strange part. We remember waking up. We remember lying down. But the moment between being awake and asleep seems impossible to catch, no matter how many times we've lived through it. This isn't because your brain suddenly switches off. Quite the opposite. During those final minutes, it begins one of the most carefully coordinated transitions in the human body. Millions of neurons start changing how they communicate. It's preparing for a completely different state of consciousness. If so much is happening, why does your mind erase almost every trace of the journey? The disappearing memories begin long before you're fully asleep. Throughout the day, your brain steadily builds up a molecule called adenosine, a natural byproduct of burning energy. Think of it as a growing pressure that quietly reminds your brain how long it's been awake. The longer you stay up, the stronger that signal becomes. At the same time, your internal body clock starts shifting the night into motion. As evening arrives, melatonin is released, your body temperature drops slightly. And deep inside the hypothalamus, a small group of neurons begins silencing the networks that keep you alert. Surprisingly, none of these changes actually make you unconscious on their own. Instead, they prepare your brain for a transition that happens step by step, but one crucial system hasn't changed yet. Before your consciousness can disappear, the brain must first decide which pieces of the outside world are still worth listening to. That decision begins at an unexpected gateway hidden deep within the brain. That gateway is the thalamus. And while you're awake, it's one of the busiest structures in your brain. Every sound, every touch, every flicker of light passes through it before reaching the parts of your brain that create conscious experience. It's less like a storage room and more like an air traffic controller, constantly deciding which signals deserve your attention as sleep approaches. A neighboring structure called the reticular thalamic nucleus gradually suppresses the thalamus, allowing fewer and fewer sensory messages to reach the cortex. The outside world hasn't gone quiet. Your brain has simply stopped forwarding most of it. In other words, your brain begins disconnecting you from the world. While you still believe you're awake, this change has an unexpected consequence. Your cortex, which depends on that steady stream of information to build conscious experiences and encode memories, starts losing the raw material it needs. You're still drifting through those final moments, but the brain's ability to record them is already fading, and that's when the transition becomes stranger than most people ever realize. This in-between state is known as hypnagogia, and nearly everyone experiences it, even if they never remember it. For a few brief moments, your brain is no longer fully awake but not completely asleep either. In this unusual state, the boundaries of perception begin to loosen. Some people see floating patterns or flashes of unfamiliar faces. Others hear a voice call their name or a distant melody. These experiences can feel surprisingly vivid, yet they often disappear almost as quickly as they arrive. As the hippocampus gradually shifts away from forming new long-term memories, your brain becomes less capable of preserving what it has just experienced. You can live through an entire sequence of strange sights and sensations, only to wake up convinced nothing happened at all. Sometimes that disappearing experience ends with something almost everyone recognizes, a sudden sensation of falling, followed by an involuntary jolt. This phenomenon, known as a hypnic jerk, is experienced by an estimated 60 to 70% of people. Researchers still debate its exact cause, but one leading idea is that the brain briefly mistakes the deep relaxation of sleep for a loss of balance and triggers an emergency muscle response. If your brain can still create experiences during this transition, what finally makes the conscious observer disappear altogether? The answer is that no single switch turns your consciousness off. Sleep researchers have found that the transition happens gradually, different brain regions powering down at different times. The networks responsible for attention, self-awareness, memory don't all stop together, they fade in overlapping stages. By the time the parts of your brain capable of creating lasting memories could record the transition, They have already begun shutting themselves down. Then the brain quietly changes priorities. Throughout the night, the hippocampus helps sort the day's experiences, strengthening some memories while allowing others to fade. From the brain's perspective, the feeling of drifting into sleep carries little value compared with preserving what you learned, saw, or survived while you were awake. The journey into sleep isn't deleted by accident. It simply isn't chosen to be kept. The strangest part is that this extraordinary transformation happens every single night. Your senses are gradually disconnected. Fleeting images appear and vanish. Your awareness quietly dissolves, and your brain begins restoring itself for the day. Ahead all while leaving almost no evidence that the transition ever happened. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson hidden inside this everyday mystery. The most remarkable thing isn't that you can't remember falling asleep. It's that your brain willingly lets consciousness fade for hours, trusting a process refined over millions of years of evolution. Every morning you wake feeling like the same person, even though the version of you that closed its eyes quietly disappeared long before the night was over. Sometimes the most extraordinary things your brain accomplishes are the ones it never intended you to remember.